2/3 of the products on the market were very frustrating to buy because they could be active, they might not be active. There were tinctures and extracts, and the way that they use this as medicine, I'd say the best list of conditions is actually a modern list from one of my colleagues in the museum project who also, unfortunately, is not no longer with us, Dr. Vicaria. But he has the best list of conditions, and his list is based on real science and history. And he had a great grasp of the historical use of cannabis in medicine. So I encourage you to go on that and Google Vicaria, Dr. Vicaria, and look up his list of conditions. But it was typically for pain. You're talking about neuropathic pain. There were neuropathic pain. Now I have to say also too, at this point, the artifacts that I've found, if I were to put them, 1 to 100, there are just very few of them that were actually smokable, whether it was whole plant material that they were selling in a package or cigarettes. So they actually did sell cigarettes. There were asthma cigarettes that people would use, think inhaler, 1870 inhaler. You take the cigarette at the onset of attack, which is a package, light it, and the asthma attack's gone. That's very effective asthma medicine. Several companies have produced it. The most famous being Normal in France. And a cigarette package, full of cigarettes, we're talking $1,000 artifact at that time. These are great things to look for. What happened after that was we have this product, we have this thing that's all these different, and one of the key things too, you got to remember, there are a lot of products, I love the descriptions people put on eBay where they find something that has heroin in it and cannabis, and maybe several other herbs and things that you might not have any idea about today, valerian or capsicum or even strychnine and bromides and colchicines, etc. But they use these things carefully with great knowledge. And you got to remember when you're talking about somebody who they didn't have a cure of TB or something like that. You're suffering from that at the end. What do you give someone at the end throes of that? Well, cannabis and heroin. That wasn't used for a toothache. For a toothache, they gave you cocaine. So anyway, and they still do. So the use of these products was very widespread, and the philosophy was generally, if it doesn't hurt you at all, we'll just use it like crazy as a first-line medicine. Today we have cannabis used as a last resort medicine. At that time, it was a first resort medicine. So if you had a cough, the cough medicine would likely have cannabis in it. If you had a mild cough, it would be cannabis and a bunch of herbs and wild cherry flavoring. And if you had a little bit more serious cough, you might throw in a little codeine. And if you had a little more serious cough, there would be morphine, always with the cannabis. And then finally, for that serious end of life cough, they gave you heroin and maybe even a couple of other things with it. And the same thing with pills. Very strong pain pills with heroin and cannabis all the way down to cannabis all by itself in a variety of different forms. For again, neuropathic pain, what they call women's disorders, which is the monthly routine of what that's the work from the 1800s perspective. These were men who were writing these things. So, you get to about the turn of the century, not this last century, the century before, about 1899. And there was a great debate. We had these great products from India, and as I said yesterday, the word, as we know it today, comes from Latin. Around the 1700s, they resolved all of these different words. Now, one word, cannabis sativa, they just put it in the Latin. They don't add words in the Latin every day. That was probably well thought through. It took a long time. They decided on cannabis sativa. But in America, we did have cannabis americana, but it was worthless. They didn't know how to grow it. It was basically hemp. And from India and Africa, they got this fantastic product. And they were really debating whether they could ever actually produce a product in the United States that would be worth comparing to the African or the Indian product. And I'd say the debate came to its head around 1899, 1900. There was a couple of journal articles where they actually had debates raging live in the ancient Facebook of the day. And I guess the end of that was a decision made. You know, you can almost picture the backroom thinking going on. But Eli Lilly and Park-Davis, two large manufacturers of all these products, big companies, they're still in existence